Okay, Detroit Lions firmly in first place in the NFC North, but there's still okay, there's some questions, and the Lions fans are really hoping that Brad Holmes does something here at the trade deadline. After all, he's the one that came out, said he's a villain and all this stuff. It's like, all right, does that mean you get aggressive? Like, what does villain really mean? This is a chance to really do something. The window's there, and I think that's the biggest thing. The window to win the division, get in the playoffs, home playoff game is absolutely there as we sit atop the division at 5-2. The Vikings are second place at 3-4. And so Dan Campbell made some comments today that makes you really believe that we are trying to acquire somebody. And here's what Dan Campbell said. This comes from Detroit Free Press. It says, first of all, the value has to be right. So, right, can't give up too much, get that. And it's got something we can feel help us and fits us, but also has to be something that you can't mess what's going on here. So Brad Holmes is mindful of that, and I appreciate it about him, that he knows what I'm talking about, what we're about, and we're not going to mess with the vibe of this team. So obviously, him and Brad Holmes have talked about bringing somebody in, what that looks like, and who they want to bring in. They've obviously had conversations. I mean, he could easily be like, "Yeah, well, I don't know, we're not really looking at anybody." No, they're looking to do something, and here is what. And we'll get to in just a second some of the options out there and the rumors of what we're hearing. It says, "Hey, look, I know he's going through a lot of things when asked about what Brad Holmes has been doing, who he's talking to on the phone with. He's going through a lot of things. When it gets serious, he'll bring it to me. But right now, I'm concerned with the guys that we have in this building, getting them right, and I'm also concerned with the chemistry. I don't ever want to do anything that's going to mess with the chemistry of this team." Either because we got the right guys here now. So that's what Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes have been saying forever. Is like, we got the right guys. We're going to do this the certain way. So here's who is out there and some potential fits that we might see. First thing is corner. This is kind of the most hot spot because of CJ Gardner Johnson's out, Emmanuel Mosley's out, Jerry Jacobs was injured. So what you saw last week was Will Harris, and Will Harris is a nice depth piece, versatile guy that can be safety or corner or nickel. He can play them all, but he's not a starter. He's just not. And especially against a mobile quarterback. I mean, oh my gosh, that is just when Will Harris gets exposed. He tries to do too much. He's out of position. So Will Harris is not the guy because Gilmore, Dorsey, I mean, those guys didn't play much at all. And then, we've got the other guy, I can't think of his name, we picked him up last year in the seventh round, who's a great special teams guy, but he has not played at all at corner. So corner is very weak. So we'll get to that in just a second. But I mean, we've talked about Patrick Surtain, and that's the one that, yeah, that'd be awesome. But I just think that the cost would be way too much. So I don't think that's going to go down. So here's some options that we're looking at. Pride of Detroit was looking at Marcus Peters, and we're kind of talking about that. And I'll get to why this trade deadline is hard to predict in just a second as well. But Marcus Peters is 30, plays man, plays physical, can be a guy that could step right in, veteran, shouldn't cost us too much. So for me, this is one I'm kind of keeping my eye on. I know we also need a defensive end. I'll get to that in a second as well. But corner, if I could pick one position, I think I would pick corner. I think defensive end is too costly to bring in. And I think we've got Aquara brothers, as much as that kills me to say, they haven't done anything. And Charles Harris and James Houston might come back at the end of the year. So at least we have something coming where the corners are just out with season ending injuries. So Pride of Detroit, shout out to them. They made a great point here. If you look around the league, of the 32 teams, 23 have 3 wins. So all but 9 have 3 wins, meaning they're 3-4. And so how many of these teams are going to be willing sellers right now when they're in the mix? Washington, you're hearing rumbles about, oh, we're going to get all these players from Washington. Washington wants to sell. And I've thought the same thing. They're 3-4. They're right in the mix. You practice all off, you go through all off season, the draft, free agency, OTAs, training camp, and you're 3-4. You're going to just punt on all of that and trade your good players to another NFC team. Like, it's just hard to imagine that happens. So I think our expectations for trades has to be really low. If we do make a trade, it's going to be for a depth piece type of guy. I doubt we're going to get a star starter, which again, maybe my hopes are too high and it's just kind of like a pipe dream, but it's like Brad Holmes, you've got the villain stuff on. You're a villain. Go get us somebody. The window is there. And it's like, we'll worry about next year. Kick the can down this. Like, we'll figure it out later, but we got a window. We're right in the heart of the season. We're 5-2. Bring in a healthy dude, a corner, a DN, something, some juice. Show the team that we're serious. We got injuries, and let's go win the division. Because again, remember, winning the division is not just, oh, you won the division. It means you get a home playoff game. It means you're automatically in the playoffs and a home playoff game. So it's just so important. We got to do it. Like, the window is there. So and then another thing, just as another side, Jameson Williams put a video out on this. Just still hasn't turned the corner. That's perfect way to put it. He's not a bust. He just hasn't turned the corner. And we could talk about that forever, but hopefully, just imagine if he turns the corner, what that would do for the offense. Aaron Glenn still can't figure out mobile quarterbacks 100%. I just love this article from MLive. No, can't. And the answer is to blitz. The answer is to blitz. We sit there, we rush 4, we try not to let him leave the pocket, so that gives him all day. Then he eventually finds somebody, or we rush 4, can't find anybody, decides to scramble, and our guys are trying to cover for 12 seconds. It's like, bring the heat. And if he beats you, he beats you. But we're gonna slow death anyway. Let's bring blitzes, bring guys off the corner, there's no pressure. It's just like, drop back. All right. They're giving me all kinds of time because they're afraid I'm gonna run. And then if they do try to like come after me, I'll just go around them. So bring the pressure. If we go against a mobile quarterback again. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is what we're looking at is simple. It's going to be hard to find the right fit. Think about what it's going to take to get a guy at the trade deadline. The right fit doesn't cost too much, and a team willing to move off a guy when almost every team is in the mix right now. That's just the way it is. Almost every team believes that they can win the next game and the game after that and be 5-4 or whatever, right? So it's going to be, I don't expect a lot is what I'm getting at, unfortunately, but it's like, come on, Brad, we didn't call you a villain and like, you're going to do all this stuff. You did that to yourself. You said in the window is there. I would love to see us make a trade. Max Crosby's been brought up, some of the big names, but at the end of the day, these teams are fighting, clawing, and it's going to be tough to pull them away. So the Lions play Monday night against the Raiders, then a bye week, then they go out west. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we will see all of you on the next one.